nostalgic fans? This is Alex with Nostalgic to the Max. Today we're going to talk about one of my most favorite movies ever, which is a Goofy movie. Let me just say, really funny because I've been a huge fan of this movie for a very long time. Now it's like everybody likes the Goofy movie. The movie starts off with Max, which is Goofy's son. He's having a dream about the girl that he likes, but it turns into a nightmare. He ends up turning into Goofy. Even though it's a joke in the movie, I'm probably overthinking it. I think it's very funny how that is his fear. He wants to be nothing like his father. His nightmare does make sense. So obviously Max wakes up from his nightmare, and basically Max was supposed to get to school early because him and PJ were plotting to do stunt to impress Roxanne since it is the last day of school before summer. Don't really specify what grade they're in. We're left to assume it's the last day of junior high maybe. So then there's a musical number in which we find out that Max is basically the geeky kid. Max is a character that I find very relatable, and that is one of the reasons why I love this movie so much. Anything Max did was basically not the cool kid. So while we're at the school, Max and PJ, with Bobby voiced by Holly Shore. So they all work together to plan this performance to basically interrupt the end of school year assembly in hopes to impress Roxanne. And I think it was also just to make sure he looked cool. Kind of the last hurrah. I wish I did this in high school. I'm 25 and I'm still waiting for that moment. So basically Max is a fan of this singer named Powerline, and he's basically like Michael Jackson or Prince. He's voiced by Tevin Campbell. So Max dresses up as him during the school assembly, and they interrupt the school assembly to do all the cool video effects and editing effects. And he actually ends up tripping over a wire in front of everybody in the school. And this is his peak moment of, wow, I'm actually kind of cool and people like me. And of course, there's the cute moments where he sings to Roxanne. But unfortunately, the principal does interrupt it and moves his glasses, and everybody sees that it was him, Goofy, geeky kid. So meanwhile, Goofy is at his job as a photographer. Pete is telling Goofy basically how Max doesn't want to spend time with his father, then he's probably a bad kid. To make matters worse, Will calls Goofy and tells him what Max did, and he completely blows it out of proportion. This big riot completely exaggerated it, which puts fear into Goofy's head. Luckily for Max, while he was at the principal's office, Roxanne and her best friend Stacy are there, and Stacy notices that Roxanne really likes Max, so she makes her talk to him. The scene is just so adorable. They're both so cute for each other. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Stacy during the school assembly says that she's having a party a few weeks from now where they get to watch the Powerline concert live on pay-per-view. I always thought it was interesting because I always thought Stacy to be the geeky one, but I guess she's pretty cool. Everybody wanted to go to her party. So lucky enough for Max and Roxanne, they do have a crush on each other. So Roxanne says yes to going with Max to Stacy's party. So Max is now the cool kid in school. He got a date with Roxanne. So he's feeling good about himself, strutting home with his glasses. It's definitely 1995. So when he comes home, he sees that Goofy's already packing the car. He packed all their stuff. And he's like, yeah, we're gonna go on a road trip vacation, just me and you. He pulls out this map that's been in the Goofy family for generations. He tells Max he is taking him to Lake Destiny, Idaho for a fishing trip. Funny because this reminds me of the Vacation movie with Chevy Chase. Because with Goofy, it's not gonna go right. Max clearly does not want to go, but Goofy forces him. Max tells Goofy, hey, I need to make a stop real fast. He doesn't tell Goofy that he likes Roxanne or has a date, which I feel like Goofy would have been a little bit more understanding if he told him, like, well, I made a date. I don't know if he just figured Goofy wouldn't understand because they weren't really close yet. Yeah, Max ends up telling Roxanne that, yeah, my father planned this fishing trip. Roxanne gets so upset about it. I mean, I get why. I get that she was upset, but honestly, let's be real. The whole rest of this movie is basically her fault. Because she was so disappointed, Max felt the need to impress her and say, well, actually, my dad's taking me to the Powerline concert in LA, and I would definitely not break our date if it wasn't a huge opportunity. Of course, he lied. The lesson in this movie is about lying. Fortunately for Max, the lie spiraled out of control. He says he is going to be on stage with Powerline and clearly did not factor in that Stacy's having a party where they're all gonna watch the Powerline concert. Now Max needs to find a way to get on stage with Powerline. So now we're in vacation mode. Father-son shenanigans going back and forth. He ends up taking Max to Goofy's favorite theme park as a kid called Lester's Possum Park. Sorry, I'm laughing because my boyfriend, his family, they really don't like possums. So of course, Max ends up being more and more embarrassed, and this is a really run-down theme park. Max ends up yelling at Goofy, saying Goofy basically dragged him to this vacation, which, let's be honest, he kind of did. So now they're in some area of the woods, Goofy setting up camp, and Pete actually rolls by with an RV. So now Max's best friend PJ is there for him to talk to, and he tells PJ how he lied, and he's like, yeah, I don't know what to do, man. Pete also tells Goofy that he needs to be a little bit more tougher with Max, Max. Goofy makes Max go fishing with him, which unfortunately leads to them getting involved with Bigfoot and having to sleep in the car the whole night. Bigfoot would not leave. I forgot to mention, while Goofy is teaching Max to fish, he teaches him this move called the perfect cast. Remember that because that is important later for the movie. It's this crazy jumping around technique to throw a fishing pole. So Bigfoot ends up going through their items. This is the funny scene of Bigfoot listening to Staying Alive, but this causes Max and Goofy to have more father-son bonding time and talking with each other. Max learns a little bit more about Goofy on how he did a lot of things with his father and he just wanted to do the same with Max. The factor is Goofy doesn't really want Max to grow up, and Goofy tells Max that when he was a kid, he used to spell out "Hi Dad" in his alphabet soup. One of the memories that Goofy missed about Max. So meanwhile, as Bigfoot's sleeping on the car, Max ends up trying to write a letter to Roxanne. He's confused whether to keep the lie going or to tell the truth, but he's scared to tell her the truth, obviously, because he likes Roxanne and he does not want to lose her. So Max accidentally discovered a map that's hidden in the glove department. So Max, feeling like he did not know what else to do, ends up changing the map. So instead of going to Idaho, they are going to LA, right where the Powerline concert is. They never explain how Bigfoot got off the car and how they drove away. Scene ends up where they're at a diner and Goofy makes a big announcement that his son is going to be the navigator and Goofy will no longer be looking at the map. He is going to give the directions to all the stops on their road trip and vacation, which leads into a montage of them going to Florida. I believe they go to New Orleans. It ultimately leads to them going into a motel Pete and PJ also happen to be at. You clearly see that Max and Goofy are starting to bond more as father and son, which we are led to believe has not happened a very long time since Max has gotten older. So Max is chilling with PJ. They're watching Powerline on TV eating pizza, which is the famous meme. Everybody talks about how the pizza just looked so good in this scene, which it did. I've yet to see a pizza where the cheese just melts so perfectly. It was so stringy. So unfortunately for Max, Pete ends up overhearing PJ and Max talking about how Max changed the map and that they are headed to LA for the Powerline concert. With this new information, Pete ends up going back to Goofy. They are both enjoying the jacuzzi of the motel, and Pete basically tells Goofy Max was lying and that, hey, your son's just a bad kid, it's no big deal, don't worry about it, Goof, it's not your fault. And Goofy tries to defend Max, but unfortunately he does see the map and does see that Max unfortunately lied. So we're now at the point where Max's lies are spiraling out of control. So the next scene shows that Goofy basically has not talked to Max from that night going into the next day, it seems. So Goofy does give Max another chance to tell the truth. Fortunately for Max, they end up coming to a junction. One highway goes to Idaho, one highway goes to California. Proof is in the pudding. So under a lot of pressure, Max tells Goofy to go left, leading to California, which just makes Goofy extremely mad. So angrily, Goofy pulls over and parks the car, and Max angrily kicks the tire and leans on the car, which causes it to roll down the hill. As they're trying to chase the car, they are fighting, and the car ends up going into the lake. And here is where it finally comes out, where Goofy's like, well, your principal called, said you got in trouble, caused a riot. And Max is trying to say, it was not like that. On a dance performance, it was a funny prank. And it all comes out where Goofy's just saying, I was just trying to take you fishing. And Max is like, I am not your little boy anymore. I'm grown up. I've got my own life, so you need to leave me alone. But then it all breaks down where Goofy said, I know you're older, but I want to still be a part of it. You're still my son. So as they're on the lake on top of the car, they end up singing to each other. Even though Max and Goofy are almost complete opposites and Max is older now, still be father and son and still have fun as father and son and to just be understanding of each other's differences. This leads to Max finally explaining to Goofy what happened. He likes this girl named Roxanne and that he spread this lie about going to the Powerline concert and be on TV. So Goofy starts thinking of a plan. Well, let's get you on TV then. But unfortunately, the car is about to go off on a waterfall. And this is where we see true father and son bonding. So as Goofy's falling, Max is left with a fishing pole. He ends up doing the perfect cast to save Goofy. So now scene change. They made it to the Powerline concert. They snuck in. So Goofy and Max end up on stage and Max ends up telling Goofy to do the perfect cast because it looks like a crazy cool dance move. Powerline ended up liking it. So everybody on stage starts doing the perfect cast. Max is on TV. Roxanne, Stacy, Bobby, and everybody from school starts seeing them on TV dancing the Powerline concert. Even Pete and PJ see them dancing on TV. And of course, this leads to several cute scenes, like the scene alluding Stacy and Bobby becoming a couple. So I have no idea how they got the car out of the lake. Seriously, like to see that process. How it was able still to drive all the way back across the country. So Goofy ends up driving Max to Roxanne's house. Goofy tells him, hey Max, you gotta tell her the truth. He finally walks up to Roxanne's house. Of course, Max ends up telling Roxanne the truth. He says, yeah, even even though I was on stage with Powerline, I just really wanted you to like me. Roxanne goes,
I already liked you, Max.
so Roxanne, of course, asks Max on a date, and then he kisses her, and it's such a cute kiss scene. I love it so much. And the movie ends with Goofy meeting Roxanne. So that is the Goofy movie. I love this movie so much. One thing I do love about this movie, it's very rewatchable. I think it's very, very relatable. I honestly watched this all through senior year of my high school. I remember there was like no merchandise for the Goofy movie, and it's just crazy now that as time has passed and nostalgia became very popular that we have so much merch of this movie now. Provide lots of links to so many awesome Goofy movie stuff, and I'm so glad it's finally getting the praise it deserves. So yeah, you guys, that is it for today's video. Comment down below if you like this movie, if you grew up with this movie, what is your favorite scene. If you want to see more nostalgia content, subscribe and ring that bell. I make a new video every Wednesday. See you guys on the next one. Bye.